Hello, I'm Diane from Millhouse Quilts, and today we have another version of scrap quilting using binding scraps. I call it my second time around series because it obviously went around the quilt once and now it's being used again. What you've seen before maybe are these two versions. This one is where I took my more calm, more traditional scraps and I mixed them with a nice beige background. And then I took some of my brighter scraps and made flowers. This is the perennial garden. And these are all just, the binding, it's still loose, and I ruffled it, and it's fluffy. So then I thought, somebody challenged me to come up with another idea. So I've got a couple table runners here. They are binding scraps. Again, I split them up. These are more bright. This is more traditional. And what I did this time was make these 6 by 4 inch rectangles, and I sewed on a foundation piecing. The binding is still folded double. I kept all of my binding as it is, so you can see it's double. When I finished this one, I sewed it down a bit. I kind of put an X through each one to hold the flap to keep it from going. There's some weight, as I said, with this. So I got to thinking that I should have a little bit firmer, a little bit heavier fabric between. So I chose a corduroy as the backing, and I liked the dark brown. I thought it just added a nice rich background to pull out the colors in this. And I threw in the red cornerstones. Those are just regular cotton, but the weight is just fine. I've bound it in corduroy. So this one is all done. This one is a work in progress. And this time, I decided just to put the blocks all next to each other. This one has the sashing. This one is just block to block, but I've got them, you see they're going different directions. So when I make these, I make some vertical and I make some horizontal. So the strips that I use, I take my binding scraps, and this is still all folded. I can open it up, and it's whatever width I happen to cut. Most of the time I do 2 1/4, sometimes I do 2 1/2. It doesn't really make any difference. Whatever it is or was, you can see this one is narrower than that one. It doesn't make any difference. So I have arbitrarily taken patches of binding here, and I've cut this into about 6 1/2 inch strips. This one is about 4 1/2 inch. So here's my foundation square. They are the same size, but when I make it, I'm going to turn them different directions. I start with a flat piece because you don't need all that extra in the seam allowance out here. So I always put a flat piece down, and then you just take the next one. There's going to be seam, it's going to be sewed together here. That won't show. That's good placement. You can put it anywhere you want. And then I'm going to sew this down. I'm going to sew it over here so that it's loose, and then I will start the other one. Now you might see I sewed kind of close to that edge. There's a lot of loose here. But when I put the next one on, I want to cover that up. I think this red would look good next to that, and I'm just going to arbitrarily put it on that far. And now when we go to do this next one, you don't really have to measure too much. You just kind of do it. I'm going to lay this one on. I like those colors together. Notice, this is a wild stripe. There is a solid teal. Here's a print that's yellow and brown, but it's all going to go together. So I can decide how much, if I want just a little bit of the teal to show, or if I want it a little bit whiter. I have to at least cover that thread, so it has to at least be there. But you can just kind of choose. And when you get down to the end, depending on how much space you have, just move it around as you need to cover the space. So the last piece will be sewed right here on the very edge. So think about, if you save scraps, think about all different kinds of ways you can use them. I could take these and cut them smaller. I have to come up with another idea now for binding, but I think this makes a really fun table runner. And it doesn't matter, you can just put any old thing together that you want and it's going to look great. Happy quilting from Millhouse Quilts.